Hey, welcome to Tuesday Night Beer School. Tonight's lesson is Oatmeal Stout. That's style 16B. Overall impression, a dark, roasty, full-bodied stout with enough sweetness to support the backbone. The oat backbone. The sweetness, balance, and oatmeal impression can vary considerably. When judging, allow for differences in balance and interpretation. American versions tend to be more hoppy, less sweet, and less fruity than English examples. But we're doing an English example. Bitterness, sweetness, and oatmeal impression varies. Light use of oatmeal may give a certain silkiness of body and richness of flavor, while heavy use of oatmeal can be fairly intense in flavor with almost oily mouthfeel and dryish finish. All right, so we'll go over the history real quick. A variant of nourishing or invalid stouts around 1900 using oatmeal in the grist, similar to but independent of the development of sweet stout using lactose. That's true. An original Scottish version uses a significant amount of oat malt. Later, went through a shady phase where some English brewers would throw a handful of oats into their party-guiled stouts in order to legally produce a healthy oatmeal stout for marketing purposes. Most popular in England were between the World Wars, was revived in the craft beer era for export, which helped lead to its adoption as a popular modern American craft beer style. This is noticeable, not symbolic, quantity of oats. Pale caramel and dark roasted malts. All right. Often chocolate and grains. By chocolate, they don't mean the actual candy chocolate. They just mean like a toasted malt that, that they call chocolate because it's like a brown color. Oatmeal or malted oats, 5 to 20% or more. Hops primarily for bittering. Can use brewing sugars or syrups, English ale yeast. Style comparison. Most are like a cross between an Irish extra stout and a sweet stout with oatmeal added. Several variations exist with the sweeter versions more like a sweet stout with oatmeal instead of lactose, and the drier versions more like a more nutty, flavorful Irish extra stout. Both tend to emphasize the body mouthfeel. All right, so the vitals for IBUs, 25 to 40. That's actually pretty bitter, considering, these aren't like, IPAs or anything like that. SRM, 22 to 40. That's the color. It's, it's pretty dark. Original gravity, 1045 to 1065. Final gravity, 1010 to 1018. So it finishes, fairly dry. 1010 is pretty dry. ABV, 4.2 to 5.9. Commercial examples. I put most of these in the thumbnail. I've never had Broughton Stout Jack. St. Ambroise Oatmeal Stout, that one's great. Samuel Smith, that's what we're drinking. Summit, I've never heard of. I think it must be a British one. Young's London Stout. It used to be called Young's Oatmeal Stout, which I've never seen in America. So I think a lot of these are, they're not imported. Samuel Smith and St. Ambroise. Anderson Valley is an American brewery. I don't know about Summit or this one. Yeah, this is how a stout should smell. I mean, it's like straight up a lovely, just the roasted malt. The roasted malt itself, I would not call it coffee-ish. There's a definite distinction between roasted malt and like a coffee character. Like Guinness is very coffee-ish. So, a lot of those types of beers, but I mean, I definitely get the oatmeal. There's a sweet character here. It's almost like creamy. This is it's a sweet aroma. So if I was judging this blind, I am not the master cicerone that Darwin is. Actually, I think he's regular cicerone, and he just took the test to become advanced. And then on top of that, there's master, I think, or whatever. But those high level cicerones, like they'll be able to smell like you'd have like 10 different stouts that all look exactly like this. They should be able to tell the difference between, okay, this is milk stout, this is oatmeal stout, this is, American stout, this is a British stout, whatever. And especially with Samuel Smith's, is it has that well water character across all their beers, and it's also the English ale character too. So there's kind of like a general fruity sensation here. Yeah, so I think like that impression of sweetness that I'm talking about is probably, it's not so much like the sugar in the beer. It's like it's probably the English ale yeast esters. I love English ale yeast, especially, I used to hate Ringwood, and actually I kind of like it now, even though it has a kind of buttery quality to it. But oh yeah, just lovely roasted malt, slightly sweet, slightly fruity. As far as trying to pick out individual hops, but I don't think this, like they said in the specs, the hops are there mostly for bittering, so you're probably really not gonna smell them. Maybe an American style, you know, because Americans love hops. But all right, let's bring up the specs again. Let's get my, here we go. Aroma, mild, grainy, roasty, coffee-like character with a light malty sweetness that can give a coffee and cream impression. Yep, I did say creamy. I mean, but to me, it's more just, it's roasted malts, not so much coffee exactly or per se. Low to medium high fruitiness, exactly. Yeah, I would say medium. I don't know about medium high. Medium low earthy or floral hops, I assume. It said low earthy or floral. Hop aroma optional. A light, grainy, nutty oatmeal aroma is optional. I definitely get the oatmeal. Let me put myself on screen here. Oops, no, I want it like this. Medium low diacetyl optional, but typically absent. Now, diacetyl is the buttery quality that you tend to get in a lot of English ale strains. Well, maybe not a lot. Going off of what those specs say, so the aroma is on a scale of 1 to 12, which is really weird, but it's a 50-point scale. They need a number somewhere. This is at least a 10 out of 12. All right, appearance. Well, I mean, you saw it coming out of the bottle. It was like a dark, like maple syrupy kind of brown, very clear. I mean, it looks black on camera. That's completely normal. Yeah, you can see that ruby red. That's beautiful. And we did see that gorgeous, fluffy, I'm not sure what color you would call that. I would call that probably tan to light brown, you know, very creamy, frothy, foamy head. Good looking beer. Let's see what the specs say. Appearance, brown to black in color, thick, creamy, persistent tan to brown colored head, clear if not opaque. Exactly. All right, well, that's exactly the spec. So perfect 3 out of 3 on appearance there. All right. 18 and a half minutes in, we finally get to the good part. If you guys got a beer at home, raise one up. I mean, you're probably already halfway or almost done with your beer. But cheers, everybody. Or as they would say in England, cheers. There's a lot of things going on here. I mean, the first thing I noticed is like this incredibly soft, smooth mouthfeel. Almost a little oily or silky, but I don't mean that like in a bad way. It's not like butterscotch or it's not like cooking oil or anything. It's just this man, how would you describe it? But what I said with the nose, just huge roasted malt on here. I would say there's like kind of an impression of chocolate, but not chocolate per se. Same thing like with the coffee, kind of coffee and cream, just like a regular breakfast blend coffee with like regular half and half, or maybe just straight milk in it, like that kind of flavor. You know, so like, you know, roasty, but not like, you know, an intense like French roast or something like that. The oatmeal is there. I mean, if you ever had oatmeal for breakfast, and I'm not talking like the kids' oatmeal with the apple and cinnamon and all that stuff. I'm just talking about straight up, you know, Quakers rolled steel cut oats, that kind of oatmeal flavor. So it's an interesting, you know, melange of like, you got that roasty dark, you know, malt in there, but at the same time you get like the sweetness from the oatmeal, and also I'm sure the English ale yeast is accounting for a lot of that sweetness. It finishes like with like a little bit of like a smoky kind of sensation. I believe that's like from like toasting the oatmeal. I got it on the first couple of swigs there. Kind of, I don't really get it anymore. But yeah, so it kind of finished like with a smoky kind of flavor, but not like not to the extent of like a Rauch beer or something like that, which, you know, we'll get to another time. But just absolutely, to me, this is a really delicious combination of flavors. I mean, like, you know. All right, so I'm rambling. Let's get back to the specs. How should an oatmeal stout taste? Survey says Similar to the aroma, with a mild roasted coffee, milk chocolate, or coffee and cream flavor, and low to moderately high fruitiness. Oats can add a toasty, nutty, grainy, or earthy flavor, medium bitterness, medium sweet to medium dry finish, which affects the perception of balance. I didn't really talk about that. We'll come back to it in a second. Malty, roasty, nutty aftertaste. Medium low earthy or floral hop flavor optional. Medium low diacetyl optional, but typically absent. Yeah, I don't get diacetyl on this one. I do get, kind of a sweetness. It does not taste quite as fruity as it smells. Yeah, but it has that English ale yeast terroir. Also, I think that's the Samuel Smith's well water too. It's just this terroir character that you tend to get in a lot of British beers. And I notice it in like every Samuel Smith beer that I have. Yeah, the hops are pretty low on this one as far as flavor. Just kind of a general, maybe earthy floral flavor. Actually, yeah, it's probably floral. Really complements the with dark beers. You tend to get like floral, like almost, well, not grassy, but like more like the piney, resiny type hops. You're not going to get citrus. Well, maybe a black IPA, but yeah, again, if I'm scoring this to spec, which so for flavor is 0 or 1 to 20, this is at least a 15. I would probably go, if I'm keeping score. Well, actually, I think this is at least a 17, maybe even 18. I don't think I'd give this a full 20. It's got a little age on it, and also that smoky taste that I got on the first swig there. I think that's a little unusual for the style. It doesn't mention smoke on here. They did say, nutty, nutty, roasty, coffee and cream, yeah, but they didn't mention smoke. I mean, it's fine. But yeah, just that lovely English ale yeast terroir character. So let's say 18. Say 18 on flavor. Mouthfeel. Medium full to full body with a smooth, silky, velvety. Let me get this here. Medium full to full body with a smooth, silky, velvety, sometimes an almost oily slickness from the oatmeal. Creamy, absolutely. Medium to medium high carbonation. Stronger versions may be lightly warming. I'd probably call this about medium full body. Lovely, lovely, roasty. It's like chocolatey licorice aftertaste. Now that's lingering on my tongue. I can kind of like think about that. But yeah, there's like kind of like a slight oily sensation, kind of a fruity aftertaste. So mouthfeel's on a score of 1 to 5. This is at least a 4. I could go 5 on this one. This is at least a 45, which is a world-class beer. And this is, yeah, as far as score, I would start at 45 out of 50. I don't think I could give this particular bottle a perfect, 50 or 10 out of 10. It might be like a 9.5 out of 10. Just because I got a little bit of that smoky character, but otherwise it's the spec. I want to have another one of these right now, which I just might. So, yeah. So if you watch all the way in, you're awesome. All right. I will see you guys real soon. All right. Bye.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's beer review.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.